is Lisa Smith. I'm a partner within Deloitte Digital and privileged to lead our innovative unlimited reality practice globally. Unlimited reality is Deloitte's groundbreaking new offering focused on spatial computing, Web3, like AR and VR, blockchain, and generative AI experience integrations. Welcome to everyone joining me in the vibrant heart of London. What an incredible day it's been at the Black Tech Fest, and it's fantastic to see so many familiar faces back with us after the incredible feats we achieved last year. I'll be joining you there in person soon, but until then, I wanted to scratch the surface on just a small number of experiences we can enable with this new suite of exciting technologies. With spatial experiences, I can be anywhere in the world. I could be taking in some stunning tour sites, or training new employees at the heart of manufacturing processes, or even collaborating with my distant global colleagues on a virtual campus. Oh, I better take this. Hey, team.
Hey, Lisa, how's it going? Just wanted to check in and see how we're getting on with the keynote prep.
So I'm actually on stage delivering the keynote right now.
Wow, that's some good timing. Hey, everyone, how's it going? Okay, well, I'll leave you to it and I'll catch you tomorrow.
I can also connect with my good old friends and epic clients, exploring the seas with Maersk, and then getting creative with building blocks at Lego. I can solve my problems of needing to be everywhere. The only downside I can see to this is losing my airline points. But that's all right, because most importantly, I'm saving the planet by cutting out the emissions from being in all of these locations physically, really driving towards a net zero ambition. We want to help you, your customers, and your colleagues to see the value this immersive tech can bring, right here, right now. We're helping our clients in a journey to imagine their disruptive opportunities, get inspired to innovate, and then make an impact together. Today, we're going to be discussing the intersection where technology and imagination collide in the most electrifying way. We're about to dive headfirst into the fascinating world of generative AI and the Metaverse, creating new opportunities previously unimagined. This is not just a conference, it's an exploration of the possible. I am going to be showcasing the value that can be unlocked with organizations by reimagining traditional operational approaches for future application. This virtual Lisa is heading for a cheeky barbecue and craft beer at War Pigs, but don't worry, I've heard she's going to be on stage with you soon, going beyond digital to join you in the room.
It's on yet? Okay. So you may be wondering why we just showed the video really highlighting how you can use Web3. And we're going to go into that a little bit later, but I'm going to ask you to think about a few things as we're going through the slides. A couple of them are when you are working in 2D space, so if you're on Zoom calls, if you're on Teams, if you're at home and you may not want to go into the store, but you might want to get some purchasing done, and you've thought, oh, I wish I could walk around in the store, but I want to stay in my living room. I want you to think about how immersive technologies could solve really, really practical ways that you lead your life every day. And hopefully by the end of it, it will make a little bit sense to you. So my name is Lisa Smith. I'm a partner at Deloitte Digital, and I get the pleasure of leading our Web3 practice, which is basically the internet in 3D. So if you think about the internet, any opportunity to visualize that is what we consider unlimited reality. I think as it relates to our presence at the Black Tech Fest, what is really, really important for us is as we wrestle and we bring these emerging technologies to the market, we really need to make sure of a couple things. We need to make sure, first of all, those that look like me, those that look like you that are sat in the room today, are very much represented in how we actually visualize and bring those technologies to life. The second thing is not everyone in society has access to the mobile devices. They do not have access to even connectivity in some of those aspects. So it is actually our duty to ensure that we are not widening the digital divide. And that is really, really important. It's really cool to have all these technologies, but it is not cool if it's leaving a significant part of our society behind. And that is actually a personal mission I have, but it is also a mission we have at Deloitte. So I'm going to talk to you about a few things about how we get going and where we start, but we do have a bit of a manifesto that I want to share with you. The first thing is, anytime you're talking about technologies, you're talking about people. And you need to understand then, how are you connecting? How does technology accelerate connecting people, being responsive, enabling sort of the basic ways that you're dealing in your life? So you have to start with the heart first. If you start with the mind, people are not going to understand what it is. They'll think the metaverse is about putting a headset on your head, and it's not. They'll just think, oh, well, this is not for me. So make sure as you're thinking about all of these different technologies that you start with the heart and then think about how can it accelerate how you connect. That is actually how we define digital. We believe digital is not technology. It is enabled by technology, but it does accelerate the way that you engage in your experiences. So if you think about from a society perspective, this is the manifesto I want to share with you. And I'm going to read it to you because I believe words matter, but this is actually how we galvanize around it at Deloitte. So we believe that making an impact that matters is our duty to society, and that's what I brought up to you before. We are creatives. We're leveraging new digital products all the time. We believe that it's a vehicle to solving experiences, which we call problems. We believe that unlimited reality does allow you to be honestly, like bring the art of the possible together in a way that you've never been able to do before. But most importantly, it really actually shifts you from just understanding how people operate to actually experiencing what they do. And that is what we believe around empathy. There's a couple of stats that I just want to share with you. And only 2 of these are probably the ones that I really want you to think about today. So 60% of people are online. I think you know that. I think if you look down on your sides, you see that you're very much connected to your mobile. It's crazy. I think if you really consider how much we're fighting for attention, you'll understand that you need these other experiences to be able to bring technologies to life. The other bit is that we are like on the cusp of next generation customers. So it is no longer like a cool thing anymore to think about Gen AI or to think about Metaverse. It's become business critical. So how does the next generation of employees be able to engage in each of these technologies? So I'm going to take you through a couple of our fields of play if we think about how do we now bring these practical things to life through 3D. So we believe that there's like 3 major buckets when you're thinking about the metaverse. We believe that each of you are looking to deliver and experience new ways of engaging brands in a way that you haven't before. We call that cross-reality experience economy. And those are things around marketing, those are things around branding, those are things around commerce, so we call that v-commerce. So how might you trade in the metaverse? And then actually social bots. So how do you take your social platforms and then be able to execute on what you're trying to do day to day? The second bucket is around augmented workforce. So if you think about your lives and your companies are actually where you're endeavoring, how might you actually make smarter decisions in how you get your work done every day? How might you train differently? How might your sort of identifying tasks to get things done be enhanced in an immersive environment? And then the third is around operations. So supply chains, being able to make better, faster decisions, not just using digital twins, but also just being able to capture end-to-end processes in a more 3D environment. We call that enterprise simulation. So I'm going to show you a couple things that bring these fields of play to life. But one I wanted to share is our team that's here today had the pleasure of creating an AR experience for Richard Houston, who's our CEO. And this was all done on a mobile phone through things called like Eighth World. So people were able to capture a screenshot and be able to actually have him displayed in many different places. In fact, when I saw him, I actually put him on top of my Doc Martens. So this is one sort of entryway that if I said, I'll challenge you to say that you can start to get more immersed into Metaverse, One step towards this technology is doing something as basic as an AR experience where you're streaming. And what he was doing in this AR experience was he was announcing a new, our partner conference that was coming up. The second thing we did is we did a huge project for Diageo where we created the world's first Metaverse experience around a concert. So if you think about Usher, if you think about Beyonce, if you think about the fact that some people can't afford to get to those concerts, Johnnie Walker was a brand that a lot of customers were already purchasing, but they wanted to be able to provide a different experience besides engaging Johnnie Walker the way that most of their customers did. So anyone who was purchasing Johnnie Walker was able to get an NFT. It actually put them into a drawing, and they were able to go to an exclusive concert without ever leaving their house, which is also really cool from a sustainability perspective. So this is really the project that we did that brought the world's first metaverse to life from a concert perspective. The second thing we did is a huge demo, and we've now released it to the USGA, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that. I think it's like a minute. Okay. So that was one experience where the USGA asked us to provide a different experience for their fans on the side of their golf courses. And we were able to actually build exactly what was happening. So if you imagine some people are running from hole to hole, they were able to actually watch the entire golf experience through their mobile phones without having to get across the areas of the course. On this second demo, this is how one of our clients decided to implement a safety and compliance training. So you're able to create an immersive environment. If you think about it, sometimes you're just taking these tests online, but we were able to take the tests and build a 3D environment in it so that it was more visual than looking at the words on the screens. Hopefully this one has volume. So what you're seeing in each of these is it's a gamified safety compliance. You can see that really the visuals is to say this is the area that it's bringing attention to, but it actually is gamifying the experience throughout the safety and compliance as you get through. And then it'll tell you if you got it wrong, if you got it right, which is actually the ultimate end of it is they want you to understand where the safety hazards are happening. Okay, And then the last demo is how we bring to life the enterprise simulation field of play that I explained to you around supply chain and network operations. So we call this a digital enterprise. If you think about normal digital twin, this is bringing digital twin into a 3D environment, which we call a product twin.
Through the marvels of the digital thread and the digital twin. Through this dashboard, you see the environment where product designers of the future will be working in. The product designer has real-time access to every risk and issue that these products are reporting. All can be achieved 100% virtually without wasting a gram of material. This is the operations dashboard of the Smart Factory Control Tower. Smart Factory enables informed decisions at lightning speeds. Here we are going to manufacture our urgent order. The AR-enabled work instructions enable the worker to assemble a new product mistake-free for the first time in their life without any prior training because they are guided every step along the way. The customer has received their product and is very excited to take them out for a swim. As the customer is racing with their RoboDuck, the digital twin of this duck will provide real-time feedback to the customer. The digital twin helps the customer repair key modules of the RoboDuck before they are broken, rather than after the fact. Along with the digital twin, the digital thread optimizes and enhances all aspects of the product lifecycle, from the product designer to the end customer, continuously improving the design of the future products to come.
Amazing. So that was just a little snippet of the 3 fields of play that we believe the metaverse is wrapped around. And we consider this really your new toolkit of the future. So artificial intelligence, which is basically replacing how humans typically got things done. And then I'll talk to you just a little bit about Gen AI and how that's the evolution of moving from AI to machine learning to Gen AI. And then virtual reality, which is actually a completely different layer to how you get things done in the metaverse, but through a headset. And then AR, which is actually what most of your experiences are going to be. This is taking how you actually function and putting a layer on top of it so that you can engage in your normal environment. So I'm going to quickly take you through a couple of slides on Gen AI, more so the definition, just so that we can ground ourselves in it. And then I'm going to show you a really cool experiment that we got a chance to do with our partnership with the LTA. So just so that you're clear about when you hear us at Deloitte talk about Gen AI, we're really talking about these 6 use cases as it relates to how you apply the evolution from AI to machine learning to Gen AI in normal language. What you're really actually taking from this experience is how you would typically transcribe, how you would typically create a video, how you would typically actually engage through speech, through another augmented way of supporting that transaction. So the first 3 that you see that are more in bold, those are the most, those probably are the most applicable ways that you're seeing Gen AI come to the market right now. It certainly is the one that the market has the most experience around. And if you look at the suppliers that are playing in this space, those are the 3 that they're focusing on. The other 3 introduces a lot more complexity because it actually takes the Gen AI experience and then it emerges it with another technology, such as the metaverse, that actually then takes an environment into more of an experiment. So if you're thinking about really bringing Gen AI to your businesses or just experimenting with you at home, it's really probably going to be the first 3 that you see. So just a little bit about the experiment we did around Gen AI. So we had a partnership with LTA, and they wanted to use Gen AI to be able to bring youth to a sport called paddle that otherwise they would have never really had an opportunity to engage with because they couldn't simply afford it or it wasn't part of their culture. So we had a team that built an on-site lab and had a Gen AI coach, because many of us did not grow up in countries where paddle, or what some people call pickleball, was important enough to be a part of a mainstream sport. And so we created a Gen AI coach that would tell you how to play the game on the court. And that's what I'll show you in this next demo that's coming up.
Digital skills, creativity are just fundamental to any job now and in the future.
Generative AI is changing the way we work. It's an inflection point.
It allows us to work better and faster, and it allows you to really be creative. This summer we've been working to create a generative AI paddle experience, and what that's all about is making the sport more accessible and inclusive and exciting. We were completely new to paddle ourselves, so it was really about understanding what makes it similar to tennis, what makes it different.
6 weeks ago, we were setting out our problem statement. How might we lower the barriers to people enjoying their first game of tennis or paddle? We had a blank piece of paper, and now we have this amazing experience, Racket Fusion.
So we have two core things we built with generative AI. It's an AI photo booth, which is just behind me over here, and that allows you to form your team. So it's a real bonding moment. And then we also have an AI instructor. So what we've done is we've used generative AI so you can ask any question you want.
Who is considered the greatest ever paddle player?
You can learn the rules, get top tips and techniques, and that means that you're going to have a great time when you come and play.
So we have used generative AI throughout the whole process, from the imagery that you see behind me to some of the text that helps explain the process to some of our technical prototypes.
And we use design thinking, our human insight to understand people and then turn it into a real thing in your hands at the end.
We have done a lot of user research, testing of some initial prototypes, and iterated to get to where we are today.
So the most memorable part for me is the first day we had our users in. And now, of course, we're here at the launch, and they're just amazed at what we can do in such a short period of time.
We are inviting young people into this experience with a view that they get to experience paddle, but also they get to experience some of the potential of technology, with a hope of getting people really excited about digital careers in the future.
I wasn't expecting to like paddle as much as I did.
It was really immersive, and I really liked the social aspect of it.
The way you used AI to collaborate with sports is quite different.
Being able to learn about paddle while actually playing it, that's a really unique blend.
You can ask as many questions as you can to AI, it's a robot.
I would say that digital skills are at the forefront of everything.
So I will definitely not stop at this point. I will definitely keep learning and broadening my horizon.
A career in digital, and actually any career, is going to need this type of blend of creativity and making things real, because it's by making things real that we can actually create new jobs, and this is a really exciting way that we can show that that's possible.
Yeah, it's really cool, right? So I'm really proud of that team. It was the first time we had a real experiment with Gen AI. And I want to be really honest and transparent with you about a couple of learnings we had. So as it relates to something like what we're doing here at Black Tech Fest, we were going to bring that experiment here. But what we actually found when we were on site is that some of the technology did not recognize people of color. And the way that the images were generating were also not that great. So even when I got into the photo booth, it recognized me as a tall male. It also recognized me as like an avatar that was like in the jungle. It was really, really weird. And so the reason why we wanted to be really transparent about that is, A, it actually proved that this technology is still quite nascent. It's really new. And secondly, it actually represents that we have people that are part of end user testing that does not look like the people that are at the end that are actually going to experience it. So if you think about your careers and your future, it is really important to get an ethnic population behind the lens as it relates to engineering and architecture, so that we don't really perpetuate a lot of the biases that are coming out in some of the new emerging technologies. So we're going to continue to tell that story, and we're going to continue to perfect and highlight the technology. So thank you for your time today as we talked about this. We have put some tote bags on the chairs, so for those of you that haven't seen it, they're either under or on the side. for you to be able to take away. For those of you that are standing up in the back, thank you for standing that whole period of time. And come to our booth if you didn't get a tote bag, and we will ensure that you get one. So thank you. Thank you.
I just had to grab the opportunity to speak to you because we spoke in passing here and I was like, yeah, I'm not letting that slide. I mean, I was watching from the wings and I think AI is such an important conversation. And what I will say to the audience, there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions in a second, but I just want to ask some first. That's why I'm here. And we see the landscape of AI growing and lots of people creating things related to AI. How would you say we can embed the language of AI in wider society? So you said 60% of people access the internet, but the language around AI is growing and not everybody is accessing it. So how do we make it more reachable to other people?
So that's a great question. So we're partnering with a couple of people, Meta and also Google, where we're going to establish some not really like tech halfway houses, so that people that actually either don't have the infrastructure in their homes or can't afford it can go to an actual building, an actual establishment to be able to engage in the technologies. The reason why that's important is of that 60%, a significant of that population are blacks. And if you think about social culture, if you think about sort of that intersectionality between culture and technology, many that are actually buying it actually don't have access to be able to deliver it through. So I believe people like our firm and others need to create environments where people can go and travel to those places to be able to get access to those technologies that they don't. And then I believe that in schools, where we know that everyone passes through an education system, it needs to be a part of the curriculum as you go through. And I think that is probably going to be the best way that we ensure that it's equitable and accessible to everybody.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So what I'm hearing is the people who are directly involved in that industry need to open the doors and reach out their hands to bring people in. It brings me to another question, because I was also thinking about accessibility, and I think you raised a really good point when you were talking about concerts and not being able to afford tickets. And I mean, if we look at class in the UK and how that affects, you know, people from working class communities and the accessibility into things, you know, being able to go to a concert that you probably wouldn't be able to afford, for me, is access, and it opens a new door. So can you talk to me about how you think AI might change the shape of experience for society and black people specifically?
So I think a couple of things. I'm going to talk about two things, because I think when we use the term Web3, it includes Metaverse. It also includes Gen AI. And I think that question actually is applicable to both. So when we brought the concert to people at home, that was really more of, it was more built around a sustainability sort of experiment as well, which is not only was it about people not being able to afford a ticket, but it was more of, does it make sense to have a concert where you have thousands and thousands of people getting in cars, flying places, to be able to do that? So it was a bit of an experiment around sustainability. But as it relates to access, the entry point is at the consumer brand. And I think that's really what we need to understand. Like, first of all, when we work with our consumers, are they providing products that actually all of society are purchasing? And I know we have a couple of clients that are thinking about that. Then you can talk about entering into that experience. It's still quite exclusive. It's still quite privileged. It's not until what I talked about before, which is thinking about how schools and how like establishments like that can create new immersive environments so that people get exposure to it. We're working with someone now who's asked us to help them build a school for the Ukraine and the Metaverse, and also a children's hospital. So people are already starting to think about these things, which actually have to do with people who don't have access. I think part of your question is already about consumer products that might be quite privileged to begin with.
What I really love about your response is you link sustainability in as well. And I don't think people realize, you know, how much sustainability is embedded in what you do around generative AI, VR, etc. I'm a feeling guy. So before I put it out to the audience, I I just wanted to hear about you, the person, a little bit, and what it feels like for you as a black woman in this space doing what you do.
Oh.
I mean, we're at the Black Tech Fest, right? You're one of our partners.
Yes. So I'll be honest with you. I think the reason why you continue to see, at least me personally, come back. You can hear I'm American. I do live in England now. But even as we look globally, I don't have a lot of peers that look like me that are in technology spaces. I have a lot of peers that are leading on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I have a lot of peers. I actually saw my old neighbor here that are speaking in like human resource type organizations. But when it comes to technology, it's still quite white and male. And I think, to be honest, it does feel lonely sometimes. But when I think about Deloitte and how entrepreneurial our partnership is, it actually is quite liberating to me. It is why I left the US, I left my family behind to come help build out some of these practices, because I do believe somebody has to go first. And I believe I have enough support system. I have an entire team here. I have a lot of my peers that are sat there on the front row right now. And so I think sometimes, unless I'm at a place like Black Tech Fest, you just kind of got to like pull your boots up and get up there and go first for the generation behind. And as I talk to my teams, they know that the most important thing to me is legacy. So if I can just sort of break through, if I can preserve it, if I can not fumble so that someone can come behind me, then I think that keeps me motivated. And I think that's about purpose. And purpose is more about your calling. It's not always necessarily about your competency.
And I can attest to that because I've done some work with Deloitte previously.
Hey,
come on, come true. And I definitely felt that when I was there.
all the work.
But I think another thing that you've touched on, which is really important for people in the audience to consider, is community.
Yeah.
We're at Black Tech Fest. Don't just consume, connect. So it can feel really lonely in the spaces that you're in. This isn't just about coming to consume the talks, consuming the things that are around here. It's connecting with your fellow people as well, so you have that network for support.
And I think it's important too, like, this is not a tick to box for us. So when you come to our booth, please know that attracting talent that looks like you is the most important of our people and purpose agenda. I don't want you to feel that it's a corporate ploy. I don't want you to feel like, oh, it's just Deloitte there, sponsoring Black Tech Fest. We come back every year because we believe in supporting color and tech. So we believe in impacting society. But most importantly, if our hallways of our company doesn't start to look more and more like you, we're not doing something right. And we believe that you have the superpowers. You've just been underestimated. You're not lacking anything. You just need someone to be able to amplify you. So come talk to us so that you can understand the competencies we have. But most importantly, know that you belong in these spaces where you may not see yourself.
I'm not in tech, and even I feel empowered. This isn't the space to be scared, people, okay? I just wanted to open it up. Has anyone in the audience got any questions? A sea of people, and all of you are scared. This is what we like. There's a question just here and a question just here. We've got roaming mics, so someone's going to be with you in a sec. Make sure your hands up high as well so we can see you.
Sorry to make you walk so far. Hi, Ricky, Tech Informed.
Hi, Ricky.
I'd like to ask, do you consider yourself a pioneer? And if so, what does it mean to you to be a pioneer as a black woman in tech?
I certainly consider myself a pioneer. And I think it means you do the work. So, I spend a lot of my weekends staying ahead. And I'm like 3 or 4 years from what I'm talking to you on the stage about. And the reason why I have to be, if I'm meeting my clients, or if I'm trying to influence my peers, or if I'm trying to make impact in my company, and I'm meeting the market, or I'm meeting the relevancy of the technologies where they are, I'm too late. So even though I'm talking to you right now about Gen AI and the Metaverse, I'm down the road. And so I believe a pioneer is a very lonely place to be. I'm quite of a lone wolf, but I think there's something quite attractive about knowing that you can be the tip of the spear and that you can engage as long as your mission is to bring people with you. If you're a pioneer and it's about you, you ain't a pioneer. But if you're a pioneer and you have legacy in mind, which for me is Black of any sort, female of any sort, ethnicity of any sort for now, then I think you get to call yourself a pioneer, because I do believe I put in the work to be able to be the best in what we're bringing to the market right now.
Thank you. There's a question just here.
Hello, thank you so much, Lisa. This was so amazing for coming through. So my name is Flora.
Hi, Flora.
I'm a software engineer, mainly in the public sector, and I'm really empowered, motivated about the stuff that Deloitte is doing. So this year, I actually had the opportunity to go back home. I'm from South Sudan. So I went back home to my country, did a tour of East Africa, right? And as I know that I'm privileged, I grew up in the UK, had education system, I'm able to work in software engineering. So my question to you, with everything that you said, these new technologies that you're bringing, has Deloitte got any plans in the next 5 years, 10 years to bring this to the people that need it in Africa? Or do you have any projects in Africa that is using Gen AI or the Metaverse?
So we have a member firm that is in Africa, and we actually have an employee that is in our human capital practice. So we have 5 practices in our consulting business, and one of those practices are around all things HR, org design, let's just say people. And interesting enough, she came to meet with me the early part of the year to talk about doing exactly what you're talking about. So her family lives in a very small village. And to be honest, that opportunity around the Ukrainian Children's Hospital that we talked about was actually an opportunity that she brought because they were keeping refugees at their home. And she was like, I want to know how I can do this for my homeland. So we have not started any projects in Africa yet. We have started where we have taken refugees in to Deloitte. But it certainly is in our plan, not sort of from a UK perspective, but as we grow the practice globally. I sit on our global team, and I actually lead Unlimited Reality Global now for Deloitte Digital. And so I think if you continue to have ideas, as we continue to engage, we'll be able to bring those things there. We haven't started, but it certainly is our plan. And it was back to what I said in our talk. If we're not doing this and it's not being able to go to parts of society, then we're not really doing our job of sharing the access and the wealth that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. It's a great question.
Any more questions from the audience? One just here.
I love these questions. These are so good.
Right? I'm not wearing my glasses, so I'm always surprised I can see people. Eagle eyes over here.
I don't know who has a mic.
There's a mic coming this way, I believe. Oh, there's one here, and then we'll get to you.
Thank you. Hi, I just wanted to ask questions. How do you overcome the racial bias in data sets, especially with generative AI? For example, I'm a software engineer myself, and I wanted to create an app that uses generative AI, but I struggle to find data sets that have a lot of Black faces in it. So how would you overcome that?
So I think a couple things. I mentioned our partnership we have with Google right now. You're going to have to, if you think about the companies that have the biggest sets of data in their hand, you're going to need to partner with them. And you're going to need to help them understand how they need to diversify so that the data sets. In fact, at 2 o'clock today, a little plug, we are going to have a talk, a LinkedIn Live with Meta, and we're talking about this exact topic, which is the duty that social platforms and big data conglomerates have to ensure that the data sets are actually capturing a bigger population diversity. And it needs to be part of your mission. So I would say until then, there's lots of programs that are actually even popping up in the UK right now where there's hackathons to be able to actually grow those data sets. If I were you, I would participate in some of those. But I would say in parallel that it's going to take big companies like us working with other big companies to ensure that you have those data sets that are representative. They're not going to be perfect when you get them, but I think the important thing is to ensure that they're moving towards that diverse population that you're talking about.
Thank you. And a question just here. You're getting your steps in today, innit? We've got you walking.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.
So I work for a company called Big Creative Education. So we offer courses, apprenticeships, adult courses, all in creative subjects. So I loved the video about the paddle experience that you offered. So I was just wondering if Deloitte are interested in like collaborating with organizations, like to do something similar for creative industries for young people from disadvantaged backgrounds.
The short answer is yes. So come talk to us. We actually have a couple of VIPs today. One is a black woman who started the Metaverse just for black women. She lived in London and she's moved to Bristol. And when she moved to Bristol, she's like, it's really hard for me to find people that look like me. And so she's created a Metaverse platform for people, mostly black women, to meet up. And it's called Black Girl Universe. And we're also partnering with another education center there because we want to start running boot camps. So the problem is if we're going to diversify, we can't wait for everyone to get through the pipeline. We need to accelerate that pipeline. So we're going to be partnering with a couple of other young agencies out of the BYP so that we can actually have coding. We can actually ensure that people have the competencies to be able to do this, and then actually hopefully drive those back into our school programs, which right now isn't a huge focus for us. So come talk to us, and we're more than happy to hear what you have to say.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We've put you through the ringer today with these questions.
All good.
They're really good questions. What I would say, I think, the powerhouse that is you, Lisa, I think you've represented the importance of people connecting today. And the reason why I keep stressing this, your presentation was amazing, but I don't think people always appreciate the powerhouses and the people. I'm really spitting here, and I'll do this way. Yeah. We'll beatbox later. But I don't think people always appreciate the powerhouses that sit behind these presentations. So I just want to stress the importance when it comes to our partners, when it comes to our stores out here, connect with people, have these conversations. These aren't just speakers, they're human beings. There's lots of human beings in here. And again, earlier on, you spoke about the importance of community. I mean, the metaverse and how we connect in there as well. So I hope we can reinforce that in real life.
And I think, I have a saying that I'll leave you with. I always tell a lot of the talent that come to me either as a role model or to help them in this space to participate in your own rescue. So if you come talk to me and you're not putting in the work, I'm not the right person to have the conversation with, because I do believe we have to kind of meet the system, we have to meet the opportunities where you are, but you have to do your part. And if you're doing your part, then we can help you. So come talk to us, like I said. We have connections to, anytime you're engaging Deloitte, that means you actually have access to an ecosystem beyond what you see behind our logo. But when we come here, we're saying we're here to help you as well. So don't leave that value on the table.
Thank you. Before we go, coming up soon, so in about 10 minutes, we have Jackie Aina in conversation with Esther. Also, we'll be giving away 5 signed copies of Craig David's book. We do have a competition coming up. I'm just whetting your appetite, but make sure you look out for that. But we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lisa.